Welcome and good evening everyone to the Scientist Reverse Grid League here in the Einstein League tonight with 18 drivers in beautiful Hungary, which is very fucking cloudy this night. But it's not our problem, it's the problem of these wankers driving. Casto is starting on pole position tonight, followed by Durdan, Nick. Oh, let me correct that. Durdan's overtaking Casto. Nice one bloke. So Nick starting P3, Spooner P4, Moshe P5, followed by Eskimo, Scientist Sebastian, Paul, Walter, Professor Zoo, Mumram, Rob, and Wisburn. And then we have a few reserves for tonight in Harvey, Ryan Vadum, Colum, and Yor, but Yor's not reserving. Yor's a regular driver. He just starts at the back because of a DNF or disqualification in the last race. We'll also take a look at the championship standings right now. Professor Zoo, who's starting in P11 tonight, is in P1 in the driver standings with 266 points, followed by Casto with 217. So it's around a 50 points gap to P2 in Casto. Behind Casto, it's pretty tight. We have Walter B with 210 in P3, followed by Scientist with 196, Rob 194, and then a gap of around 40 points to Nick and Spooner. So everything still to play for. Williams right now is in P1 in the Constructors' Championship with 304 points, ahead of Haas with 300. McLaren 288, Alpine 274, and Aston Martin 266. So only 40 points divide 5 teams here in the Einstein League. I've seen that a lot of you already filled the comment section. That's great. Just keep going. I try to focus on that from time to time and respond. Obviously that Paul and Ryan Van Doom made a little connection there from P9 and P16, so that must have been kind of a stupid. We just go for it. So Casto starting in P1 on soft tires. Now the camera angle is here. Oh, a biggie! A biggie at the back between Ryan Van Doom and someone else, I think. That was a nasty one, and we already have a virtual safety car. So Moshe made contact with Durdan. That means 5 seconds to Moshe's name. But let's see what happened here at the back. So Ryan Van Doom lost his wing. Harvey too. So maybe they collided and then kissed the wall, to say the least. Well, the damage is done, literally, and it's a virtual safety car at the moment that gives us a little breathing space and room. So we have the full track map on, so you can follow your favorite driver. We have also telemetry on, so you can see who has ERS left, and it's green flags again. We're jumping to the front, to Casto, and the guys who are following him. Nick already up to P2, started in P3, and Casto is pushing now because he's on the soft, as are the 8 guys behind him till Eskimo, Sebastian, the first one who is on mediums at the moment. Also take a look at penalties, of course, if penalties occur. And Harvey and Ryan Van Doom somehow are not in last position. It's Colum and Paul. They must have been a little crash. So they're way at the back right now. Pretty action-packed from the beginning here. Rob has a big gap to Professor Zoo, and now Sebastian, who overtook Sebastian here, up to P9 for Zoo. Rob in P11 with a 3.5 second gap to P10. Don't know why that happened. Only Rob knows. Colum gets a 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit line. Ryan Van Doom, Harvey, Colum and Paul are all in the pits right now. So not the best start for them. Let's see where we have a close battle. We have one between Spoon and Dirt on Sector 3, yellow flag. That's Column, who I think DNF'd in the pits. So the safety car shouldn't come out as he DNF'd in the pits, but I see those cars coming. Oh, that's called a dive bomb, but somehow Spooner made that clean. That's P3 for him. He has Dirt on behind now. Moshe, who had a little knick-knack with Dirt on the first lap and got a 5-second time penalty, is now keen to overtake him on the main straight. As you can see, Moshe is using ERS to get closer and overtake the Aston Martin, going down the inside, defending the line, getting the position. And I think Scientist wants to do the same here. Dirt on, switching to the left, letting his teammate by, and has now Walter be behind, who sees a gap here, is around the outside, now does the switchback, side by side. That looks quite sexy, and Walterby did it. That's P6 for Walterby. Dirt on down to P7 at the moment, but the gap to Professor Zeus is pretty big in 2.6 seconds, so some breathing air here for him. Casto still leading 1.8 seconds at the moment, the gap to Nick. And we have a good fight here between Moshe, Scientist and Walterby. We're all fighting for P4. So I'm taking a quick look at the comment section now. Yep, nice one, boys. Just keep going. So Moshe has now to defend the position against Scientists, who will have DRS on the main straight. Should be easy work, but you never know. Scientists down the inside, Moshe not even defending the position. He knows he's better off if he just stays behind and doesn't lose as much time. But Walterby sniffs at the rear here. He smells some blood in the water, but he has to wait for another lap. So at Hungary, as you all know, it's quite difficult to overtake on track. You only really have turn 1 after the DRS to make it work. Otherwise it's pretty bad. You just have to follow the car in front of you. You damage your tires, and if you brake a little bit too late, you probably damage your wing as well. And Paul DNF'd on track, but it's green flags. Now it's yellow flags because Harvey also retired, I think, in the pits. And we have a safety car. Okay. So we have a full car safety car, which helps everyone who's on softs right now, because that's a free pit stop for fresh mediums. You're 2 laps behind the safety car. That means you don't damage your tires by any means. And everyone who's on mediums has to pit for softs. Hards are not the solution around here, not even in a fucking 50% race, so pretty tricky call for everyone who's on mediums, but let's see if they maybe stay out. That could be a possibility. And for Sebastian it is. Wisbin is coming in. Mumram is staying out. Rob is already on fresh mediums, and Ryan Van Doon also kind of on fresh mediums. He doesn't have to pit, and everyone else at the front has pitted. Professor Zoo, yeah, he's also in the pits, also on mediums. Oh, a little tingle tangle there with Moshe. Oh, he overtakes him. That's a nasty one. He just got him in the pits. So Professor Zoo P9, Moshe P10. He got the 5 seconds off his name now. And Eskimo is the only one on softs who hasn't pitted. Maybe he hasn't done it because he would have double stacked with Wisbin. I don't know. But Wisbin is now on hard tires. So let's see if we can make them work. I personally don't like them, but you never know. Sometimes people like some hearts. Oh, there's a good guess by Kobe in the comments section. Maybe a double pit stop for all the guys who are on mediums, or that were on mediums, to get the hards on and then the mediums again, or the softs maybe, to do a risky one. Yeah, maybe Wisbin is using that tactic, because if he pits now, I think he's only losing 2 positions at the moment, because Ryan Van Doom has a big enough gap to all the pack. And Eskimo's not coming in, so that was probably the double stack moment for Red Bull there. So he will be in P14, I think, after his pit stop. And let's see what Wisbin is doing. He's staying out. So I have to say that the hard tires look pretty damn beautiful on the car. They're shit to drive, but they look so fucking sexy. But yeah, they're shit to drive, so you don't use them. Eskimo in the pits for fresh mediums. His mediums are now 1 lap fresher than all the others. He's down to P14. Behind him, only Ryan Van Doom, who was almost lap after an incident on the first lap. Lost his wing, had to pit early, and then did a second pit stop for fresh mediums, so he has the same weapon as everyone else right now. Only Wisbin, of course, is on the hard tires. Everyone else on mediums. So it's all coming down to skill. Sebastian and Mumram, the only ones who stayed out and didn't pit when the safety car came out. They have 5 lap-old mediums. They're on P2 and P4 at the moment. And I think Castro's pretty happy about that, because he has his teammate right behind him. And he can protect him a little bit from Nick, maybe. So that's good strategy by Alpine here, if they can make it work. So safety car is coming in on this lap. And let's see when Casto decides to do the restart. And if he maybe catches someone napping. So now we all know the tires, so we just switch to penalties, so we have a better overview on the track. Castle taking a wide line to get enough speed out of the corner. That's a good restart, and Nick is already on it, on board with him in the slipstream of Sebastian, who's defending on the inside, doing his job for the Alpine team. Nick around the outside tries to switch back now, has to be careful. Mumram right behind. Sebastian still in front. They touched a little bit there. Sebastian stays. Oi, 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 oi. Pookie, pookie. That was a nasty one. But I think no damage, or just like you can't see the damage, but maybe there is some damage, because that was more than a tickle to the side pot or to the tire of Sebastian, who defended very, very well there from Nick, and who has already now gifted Casto a 2-second gap. So pretty work by the Alpines here. Moshe with a 3-second time penalty now for multiple warnings for overdriving a corner or cutting it. The gap gets a little bit bigger now between Casto and Sebastian, who's trying everything to defend P2 from Nick. And on the first 2 laps now, after the restart, there won't be any DRS. So it's all down to ERS, and Nick is using his ERS. He's right behind Sebastian down the main straight. Going on the outside, trying it again. Sebastian defending the inside. Still there. Nick is trying the same thing he tried before, but now he's closer. He's right next to Sebastian. It's pretty close, and he has him around the outside. Makes his fresh mediums work. That was a beautiful overtake. He learned from the first encounter, and he's now up to P2, 2.4 seconds behind Casto. And that's a very smooth gap for the leading Alpine here. Mumram still in P4, stalked by Spooner in P5. There's a whole bunch of guys right behind. Oh, cool. Thank you for that connection issue. That was crazy. That's Spooner right behind Mumram. Scientist right behind Spooner. Okay, that was a mistake by Mumram, and Spooner is going for it like a madman, but he makes it work. That was so fucking beautiful. Scientist tries to go around the outside against Mumram. There's one thing you shouldn't try, and that's going around the outside against Mumram and hope for the best, because that's normally never works. But Mumram has older mediums, and he's struggling now side by side. Walter via Mumram, inside for Walter. Let's check what happens here. Mumram still on the outside. Walter B has it, sector 3, yellow flags. Who is that? That's a Merc. That's Rob. Rob DNF. Horrible for him, because he's still in the leading group in the championship, and that's the race for him. He's out on lap 9 of 18. And Zoo also overtook Mumram. So Zoo up to P9, steadily going up the rankings here. But of course, Casto has to win that race. He has to win, and he has to hope that Professor Zoo doesn't gain any more positions. A win is an absolute must. The gap to Nick is now up to 3.1 seconds. So the gap is getting a little bit bigger. That means Nick, of course, has no DRS on Casto. And Sebastian is also out of the DRS window of Nick, and Spooner just entered it against Sebastian. Let's see if he can make it. Oh, that was close over the line, but he just made it. And that's really good for him to defend from Scientist, who's right behind. He's using his ERS and DRS to make something work, but as long as Spooner has the DRS, there's no way through. I'm surprised, not to say shocked, that Mumram is out and that Masha is the only one with penalties right now. And we have another safety car. Let's spice this shit up. There's another safety car out now. It's great that Codemasters just translate a reduced safety car to the absolute shit house, and we have 2 full safety cars and a virtual one in the 25% race. Well, if anything is possible, then only with Codemasters. And let's see what the guys in front are doing now, because it's lap 10 of 18. It's the perfect window to pit for softs. Everyone is on mediums right now. Only Wisbin is on hards. I think everyone will pit. Sebastian and Mumram have to... Oh, sorry, Mumram's out. Sebastian has to pit. And if I were him... Oh, what a... Castro's staying out. Oh, that might have been a mistake. That might have been a bloody mistake. That gives Sebastian the chance to pit now without double stacking. That's pretty good for him. Scientist also staying out, so Castro has to hope that a lot of guys are staying out now to build a wall between him and Nick. Oh, that's so tricky. Yo and Moshe also staying out. Durdan is staying out. Eskimo, so that's... Oh my god, Castro is a lucky little cheeky driver here. So he has 7 cars between him and Nick. Well, it's 6 cars. Should be doable just to count. But yeah. So it's 6 cars between Casto and Nick, and that's pretty good for Casto at the moment. But these softs work beautiful for around 4 to 5 laps here in Hungary. Let's see what Nick can do on them. So we can see now that everyone has pitted. Ryan Van Doom has pitted 3 times now. And from Nick down to Ryan Van Doom, everyone is on fresh softs. We have P1 to P7 on used mediums. They will make it until the end, but they will go off a little bit. And the guys on fresh softs, they have just a 5-lap sprint race ahead of them. So it should be a crazy ending to this race. Good thing for Casto is the more people overtake Zoo, the better for him, because Zhu just jumped from P7 to P3. That means Castro will only gain 10 or 11 points on him. But to be honest, he needs more. He needs at least 15 points between himself and Zhu to get a little bit closer and to get Professor Zhu into sweat mode. Right now the gap is around 50 points between Zhu and Castro in the Drivers' Championship, so should be a nice finish here. Safety car, of course, staying out on lap 12, will probably come in at the end of the lap. That means we have 6 laps left until the end of the race. So a proper finish to decide who will be the winner here in Hungary. Double DNF for Ferrari. Pretty nasty. I think Binotto didn't order that, but he received it. Aston Martin placed well right now in P2 and P6. Will be solid points for the moment. And we will probably see the safety car coming in a few seconds after the next right-hander. There we go. Safety car will be coming in. We're jumping to Castro to see how he manages the restart. He's controlling the pack right now, warming up his tires still. Going around the penultimate corner, the left-hander. He's probably doing the same he did after the first restart, taking a wide line and get on the accelerator early to get more speed. He's doing it. Oh, it's a good restart already. Half a second between himself and Scientist. He's using ERS to make sure he stays in P1, and that's what he will do. Oh, Walterby had an issue here. He's down to P13 now. Maybe he spun in the last corner, which is absolutely brutal and shit for him. But we are on now. Green flags again. Castro with a good restart. And his priority right now is to get a second between himself and Scientist. So he's out of his DRS. And Nick is already overtaking guys, and Durden is going down the order. He's off track now. Walterby will be overtaking him now. Yeah, he did. And it's already kind of 1 second between Castro and Scientist. Yellow flags there. It's a Red Bull. It's Eskimo, I think, who's going down the order right now. He's in P12 now. Durden right behind him. And Castro's pushing really, really hard now. And he has a 1.1 second gap between himself and Scientist, which will help him a lot. Because if Nick is really going through, then he still has to work his way up into Castro's DRS. But right now, as it stands, it's pretty comfortable for him. Yellow flag, sector 3. I think that was Walterby again, who lost his 2 positions there. Nick is going up the rankings. He just overtook Yor up to P5 on his fresh softs. He's on a run through the field. Next one up, Moshe. And now comes the tricky part, because he has to follow Moshe through sector 2. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just goes for it. But he has to make it stick and clean. He's way quicker now on his softs than Moshe on the old worn mediums. But he has to do it clean. It's really tricky to follow a car around that second sector if you are much quicker on these softs. The gap between Zhu and Moshe is already 2 seconds, so Nick has to overtake Moshe ASAP and then use his clean air to get closer to Professor Zhu to the podium. He's really, really, really close behind Moshe now, almost in his gearbox. And now he will possibly make it. Oh, Moshe's defending. He doesn't want to give him the position. Oh my god. Nick is absolutely frustrated. He doesn't get him. There's no DRS in play at the moment. And Moshe defending with ERS here, so Nick has no chance to overtake him for the moment. Scientist now 1.4 behind Castor, and Zoo is in Scientist's DRS window, so this should be a cracker. Oh, Nick running a little bit wide. I think he ran over the outside curb a little bit too long, which set him off for the left-hander, and he's really close behind Moshe. He's pushing him through the second sector, and while doing that, they're losing a lot of time to Professor Zoo. Already a second. Ryan Van Doom, 3 seconds to his name, who's up to P10 at the moment. And Nick is trying everything to overtake Moshe. But there's no gap to use for the moment. He's way quicker, you could just see it. But he has to make it stick and clean. Now he will get the DRS, and that will be an easy overtake. But in the meantime, he lost 1 whole second on Professor Zoo. The DRS will help him a little bit. We're jumping on Professor Zoo. He's too far off. Nick is overtaking Moshe now, going down the inside. There's no way Moshe can. And Nick is up to P4. So the gap between Zoo and Nick is now 3 seconds. And Zoo is close behind Scientist with 46% ERS left. Harvey joined, okay. Waterby sets the fastest lap on fresh soft, of course. And Yor and Spooner are fighting very hard here, very close together. Wisburn right behind them. These guys, I think, are all on softs. Well, Yor's on old medium, so Spooner and Wisburn, they want to have it. Sebastian is right in front of them. And Moshe from Sebastian. It's a whole DRS train here. We're jumping on Sebastian because he's the first one who will have the DRS here. Oh, he's getting closer and closer and closer. He goes for it. Oh my God. What a dive. He just stops the car in the braking zone, gets around the corner, and that's P5 for him. Sector 1, yellow flag, Spooner dead. You're also! What just happened? On board with Eskimo to see what happened here. I think it's the left-hander. Yeah. They just ran wide. What happened here? Are they both in the wall? They're both in the wall! Oh my God! They probably touched there. Ah, fuck. Yellow flag, Sector 1, of course. Nick is closing the gap to Professor Zoo. It's only around 2 seconds. So he's coming for it. 2 more laps. 2 more laps. Casto. Well, I think Casto's coming onto the last lap now. Yeah, it's lap 17. He's around the last corner now. And that means final lap for Casto, who will probably win that race. But Nick just wants to know it. He has to push really hard now. He has to give everything he has. And Zoo is staying behind Scientist, just using the DRS. Not trying anything fancy. But the gap to Nick is 1.8. I think that is too... it's too much. No close battles right now on track. The field just got spread open a little bit with all the DNFs and spins at the end of the safety car phase, which means in the end it's a comfortable win for Casto, who is still leading the race, who started from P1, I think, and finishes P1. Zoo gets closer to Scientist all of a sudden. Let's see if he has another opportunity, but doesn't look like it. Casto around the last corner. And that's a win for the Alpine driver here in the Einstein League in Hungary. P1 for Casto, P2 for Scientist, P3 for Zoo, Nick in P4 who just damaged his car crossing the line. Sebastian up to P5 for beautiful result for the Alpine team. Wisburn in P6, Moshe in P7, his reserve teammate tonight, Ryan Van Doom in P8, Durdan finishing probably in P9. Oh wait, he has a penalty and Eskimo's only 1.8 behind him, which means Eskimo finishes P9, Durdan P10, and Waterby coming around the last corner to finish in P11. And I think he has the fastest lap to his name. His AI just decides to crash into the car there, so AI was probably on 10 or something. Professor Zoo gets the drive of the day. He started in P11 if I'm not mistaken, and he made it up to P3. That's your final results. Casto wins the race here in Hungary. Scientist in P2, Professor Zoo P3, Nick in P4, then Sebastian, Wisben, Moshe, Ryan Van Doom P8, Eskimo P9, Durdan P10, and Walterby P11. Our first DNFs are Yor, Spooner, then Monram, Rob, Harvey, Paul, and Callum. So as you can see, a lot of DNFs here in Hungary, which is not regular, I'd say, but it just happens, so we all take it on the chin because we have to. So nothing to worry about here. And with the final results in Hungary, we take a little break of around 10 minutes to see the second race happening in Australia. So I will be off the mic for around 10 minutes and we will be back for the second race in Melbourne. Welcome back everyone here in sunny Australia, in Melbourne, around this tricky street track, which is obviously one of the quicker ones in the calendar and not an obvious street track, although it's happening on the Melbourne streets. The weather is looking really beautiful, as did Castell's win look in Hungary. He finished in P1 ahead of Scientist and Professor Zoo. Nick followed behind, who pitted under the second safety car for fresh softs and couldn't gain P2 back, only P4 for him, but still good points. We had a few DNFs. Let's get a number to that. I think that was 7 DNFs in our last race. Out of 17 drivers, I think. If 11 finished, that means we have 6 DNFs in our last race. Only 11 finishers at Hungary. Walterby finished in P11, which means he will start from pole position here in Australia. So we're just waiting on all the guys to do their strategies and setups, and as soon as the clock is down, we're going on for a formation lap here around Australia. Here we are, starting on soft tires. We'll take, of course, a look at everyone else on track, what they're doing. So the top 3 guys starting on softs. Ryan Van Doom, the first one, on mediums. He splits his strategy with his teammate Moshe. So Ryan Van Doom on mediums, Moshe on softs, and then in P8 Nick starts on mediums like his teammate Spooner down in P13. Everyone else has decided to go on softs for the first stint, and that could play out for those guys, as we normally have. If we have a big incident, it's normally on lap 1, or as soon as someone decides to bin it out of the chicane of death in the second sector here in Australia. We're coming around the long left-hander, which feels like a straight, which ends up in the chicane of death where Walterby is right now. It's a quick left-hander and immediately a right-hander. It's like the second quick chicane in Imola. It's a very similar type of attacking the corner. Of course, here you have the disadvantage of meeting the wall immediately. In Imola you have kind of a big gravel trap to slow your car down and then get back on track again. Here in Australia it's a little bit more tricky, and that's why it's officially a street track. You just meet the wall and your tires fly through the air on the kangaroos and dingoes, and you don't want that, and the animals also don't want it, so you better keep it on track here. We will have the full track map on, and we will also have the telemetry on, so you can follow your favorite driver on track on the map, and of course see how much ERS is left with all the guys. Walterby starting from pole position, dirt on behind him in P2, followed by Eskimo, both Alpha Tauris, Whisper and Sebastian, Nick, Professor Zoo, the championship leader in P9, followed by Scientist and Casto, who finished P1 in Hungary. But Hungary is in the past. We are now here in Australia. We have 4, 5 red lights. They're out right now, and Durdan with a little nap at the start, which turns out really bad for him. He's losing position after position, and Walterby has a cracker. When jumping back into the field, already yellow flags. Of course we have yellow flags. And it seems like both AlphaTauris have gone off track, or maybe met on track, which results in a P16 and 17 last positions for them. Durdan with a miserable start sends him back to P12. Walterby with a sexy one, which means 1.7 seconds already ahead of Wisburn and Nick in P3, who is stalked by Sebastian and Professor Zoo. Let's keep a look at the tires. Only Nick now in the top group here with mediums. Spooner has now made the decision to be last. He's behind Mosh and Ryan Van Doom now. Chicane of death incoming. Let's see if everyone makes it. It seems like, yeah, everyone has made it. Oh, yo, Spooner has damage to his car. It's a biggie. The whole front wing is off. And Wisburn was able to close that gap by around a tenth on the last lap. And Nick is now attacked by Sebastian, Professor Zoo, Castle, Scientist, Harvey. It's a big train here. Of course, they all have the advantage of having fresh softs on now, and Nick on mediums. Oi, Sebastian is going for it. He's showing himself in the mirrors of Nick. Durdan, Spooner into the pits now. Harvey just overtook Scientist here for P7. Cullum overtook Rob, who's off track there for a moment. And who's losing more positions, I think. Against Yor. Yeah, Yor has him. Eskimo side by side with Rob. Spicy encounter. Oh, and Mumram is using his ERS, as we can all see. He's now side by side with Eskimo. Going for the overtake, but backing off for the moment. Deciding that this dive might be a little bit too heavy, maybe. Walterby having the lead still on Wisburn, around 1.6, 1.7 seconds. Callum with a 3-second time penalty. Castor in P6 right behind his championship rival, Professor Zoo, who is in P5 at the moment, still behind Sebastian, who himself is behind. That was a tap too much, which means Castor's up to P5 and Zoo P6, but we all saw it. Castor damaged his wing, which means he has a big disadvantage now. Oh, Harvey's smelling blood in the water. He's coming for Zoo now, because he had to back off a little bit after Castor had to brake a little bit deeper, because he has now damage to his front wing after he tapped Professor Zoo's rear end. But it's now both Alpines in the top 5. Castor already with a penalty. Oh, yellow flag, sector 1, sector 2. What is happening here? It's a Merc, it's Rob DNF, virtual safety car. Rob is out of the race, another DNF. Total heartbreak for him here in Australia and before in Hungary. Virtual safety car at the moment. So everyone has to respect the delta. If not, you immediately get a drive-through penalty. And let's jump to Walterby to see if he maybe takes the decision to pit under virtual safety car conditions. He doesn't, but Wisben does. Wisben comes in. He goes for the, let's call it alternate strategy, something like that. Wisben in. As long as the virtual safety car is out, he has an advantage of the virtual safety car. Now it's green flags. Where's Wisben? Is he still in the pits? He's just coming out, so he gained a bit. Let's not say he gained a bit, but he didn't lose as much as he would lose. But let's see what happens in this race. Maybe there will be full course safety car. Whoever knows that. But Sebastian is now losing positions against Nick and Castor. So his teammate overtook him. Nick also overtook him. Professor Zoo is sniffing on his rear. and Sebastian, as a good teammate, is trying to defend P4 from Professor Zoo. Harvey right behind them in that train of 5 cars. And Walterby is chilling in the front. He has a 6-second gap to Castro at the moment. And Wisbon came out in P13 on fresh mediums. Oh, that's the chicane of death, and Harvey took it well. Some of them didn't. Sebastian is overtaking Nick with the help of DRS. Zoo is there, and Nick just closed the door on him. So Professor Zoo has to stay in P5, gets a little tap from Harvey, which sends Zoo straight next to Nick, and Nick and Harvey are coming in now, so they must have damaged. Nick is out of the race. Nick DNF'd in the pits. Why did he do that? Oh, that's a shocker. To be honest, that's a real shocker. Nick is out of the race. Because of that, we have yellow flags in Sector 3, but there shouldn't be a safety car because he DNF'd in the pits, but I didn't see that coming, to be honest. Oh, Masha had a little spin on track, which results in a loss of 2 positions against Harvey and Scientist, who are really close together after Harvey came out of the pits. And Walterby still with a 5.6 second gap to Castro at the moment. Sebastian's teammate 2.5 behind Castro. Zoo really close. Only 7/10ths behind Sebastian. Will have the DRS on the following lap. And we have another train here. Eskimo leading it in P7. Mumman P8. And Wisbon just overtook Ryan Van Doom for P9. So he's making up places right now. P9 for him at the moment. But his goal, of course, is to get closer and closer to Walterby to get the net lead as soon as Walterby pits on his soft 4 fresh mediums. Good thing is he has the DRS. Bad thing is he's in a train, which will cost him a lot, but he's going for the overtake against Mumram round the outside, which is really tricky. But he somehow makes it. Oh, Mumram just left him no space. And Wisbon had to leave the track, but he did it in a very safe and fair way, which means there shouldn't be any penalty for him. But of course, he was side by side with Mumram when they touched, which is probably down to Mumram there. And we have Spooner, I think, who spun. Yeah, Spooner spun in at the exit of turn 2. But it's only yellow flags, no safety car. And I think Musha had kind of a similar situation. He was really slow there. But we can also see that Castro gained half a second on Walterby on the last lap. But Castro has a penalty. It's yellow flag, Sector 3. What has happened here? Oh no, it's Eskimo and Mumram, and Eskimo lost his wing. What has happened here? Oh dear, oh dear. Wisbon is probably not really mad because he's up to P6 now after Professor Zoo also pitted. So for him it's now... What the fuck happened to Castro? My boys, if you're doing that shit all night, I can't follow you. So Castro somehow is in P4. He must have been it somewhere. He's down to P4 now. His teammate Sebastian is in P2. Callum P3. No one wants to be in P2 and follow Walterby. Walterby has now a 9-second gap to P2. It's the most comfortable race ever for him. Sector 1, yellow flags. Eskimo retired from the race. Eskimo's out. It's a safety car. We have a full course safety car. And that is beautiful for Walter B, who's just coming into the pits. So if you want a perfect race, just ask Walter B how Australia was for him, because that was absolutely perfect for him. What is not so perfect is that his 9-second lead will be completely gone from 9 to 0. So Castor also coming in, double stack, but he doesn't lose a lot of time here. His pit crew did a really good job. But yeah, it could be Castor in P2, but it's not, and he's losing more positions as Professor Zoo and scientists overtake him while he's in the pits. Yeah, that's kind of worst case scenario for Castor now, with the penalty 2 places behind Zoo. But if you want to punish yourself in a race, just ask Castor how it's done. And ask Walter B how good strategy is done, because that's what they presented here in Australia until now. But it's still only lap 8 or 15, so only 50% of the race is done. Wisburn decided not to stay out. He also went into the pits, and he has got fresh softs on now. So he's playing kind of the same strategy that he did before when he came in on the virtual safety car to pit early for mediums. He does the same now. He's also coming in, but he's pitting this time for fresh softs to have the advantage. And let's see what he can produce from his situation at the moment. P8 for him, fresh softs. Everyone in front of him on mediums. Only Scientist and Zoo on older mediums. Zoo's mediums are 1 lap old. Scientist ones are 4 laps old. So there's still a good chance for Wisburn to just sniff on the podium. But let's see what happens. At the moment, Callum is in P3 with a penalty. Castor also has a penalty. Let's see what they have. It's 3 seconds to the name. Durdan also has 3 seconds. And we have another lap behind the safety car, which means lap 9. And at the end of lap 9, it will probably come in, but still, we have big gaps on track. Mumram is just coming in to the pits now. Moshe, then Mumram, Durdan, and Spooner still have to close the gap to the pack. It should be done in Sector 2, or maybe at the end of Sector 2. But let's see if the safety car comes in anyways, or staying out if the gaps are still there. Spooner now tries to overtake Mumram in the pits. He does. So Mumram is now in P14. So Mumram has now closed the gap to the field, and the safety car has anticipated that and is coming in at the end of lap 9 of 15, which means we will have again a 6-lap finish until the end. The top 7 guys are on mediums. Professor Zoo's mediums are 1 lap older, and Scientist mediums are 4 laps older. Wisburn is the first one on fresh softs, followed by all the guys behind. Let's see what Wisburn can do. Let's see what Walter can do here from P1 doing the restart. He's making the pace. He's leading the group. And he's accelerating right now. And that was a good restart, already half a second. And Callum is really close behind Sebastian. It's almost side by side. Callum is going for it. backing off last moment, going over the grass. Professor Zoo's teammate, he sees him. They almost crashed. I think he lets him go. Scientist and Castor also there. Castor trying to go around the outside. Scientist and him touched. And Professor Zoo and Callum are still side by side. I wonder why Callum is not letting Professor Zoo go here for the championship. But he does now. So Professor Zoo P3, Callum P4, and Castor up to P5, who's now stalking Callum. That's a nice one. Oh, around the outside, but there's no space on the next corner. Castor had to cut it a little bit just to stay on track, but very fair by these two. Walter be already with a 1.2 second gap to Sebastian, so he's safe at the moment. Oh, and Castor's so close to Callum. Oh, Scientist going into the wall and out of the race. His dead body on the side of the track there. He's gone. It's a virtual safety car. Oh my god, what a nasty hit. You could hear it. That was so nasty. Virtual safety car now. And somehow Wisburn is in last place. He's pitting, he has damage. Oh my god. It could have been such a good strategy, but it's a complete fuck up for him now. He's down to P13. And Harvey took his place. He was now in P6. On fresh softs, as is Ryan Van Doom. Yellow flag sector 3, Wisburn DNF'd in the pits. Well, it shouldn't be a safety car, as we have green flags again. And Casto is stalking Cullum again. Both are mediums, but they feel Harvey behind on fresh softs. It's nerve-wracking for them. Castro really wants that overtake. He really wants it. Oh, maybe he gets him now with a sweet switchback. He's using his ERS, but Cullum does the same. And he has more ERS left. Oh, Castro is going for it! Oh my god! Side by side they touched! Yeah, that was a crash. Castro's out of the race. Cullum is in P5 and Harvey is the one who's laughing his ass off probably. That's P4 for him. Professor Zoo will also be quite happy. Yeah. Someone commented Castor was asking for that. Well, I can't fully deny it. I also can't confirm it. But yeah, of course it was aggressive. But I think we have to see after the race, without emotions, what really happened there and what was the case and what wasn't. But yeah, it looked nasty, to say the least. Harvey P4, Ryan Van Doom P5 on soft. Ryan Van Doom with the 3-second gap to Harvey at the moment, but Harvey is closing the gap on Zoo and Sebastian, who himself has a gap of 2.6 seconds to Walter B, who's driving smoothly and comfortably around the sunset here at Australia. Oh, we're getting really close to Zoo. He's making those softs work. But now he is the third car on the DRS train, and that's what you don't want to be. That was a nasty one. That was nasty. Professor Zoo lost traction on the curb, and Harvey had no chance. He just had to hit him. Ryan Van Doom is in P3. Sebastian gets a little bit of sweat off his forehead now. Still in P2. Ryan Van Doom is 4 seconds behind him. But Zoo, he has no damage. He's still there. He's still in the mix. He's still P4. He can get P3 because Ryan Van Doom has a penalty. But yeah, of course, the one who lost the most there is Harvey. He followed Zoo closely. And because of that mistake, Harvey lost everything here. Let's see if Harvey... yeah, that's heavy damage. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Harvey. He had a good run on the podium there, possibly. But yeah, sometimes these little details decide over the end result. And Sebastian and Walterby also now have a penalty. Which means Professor Zoo right now would be in P3 because of Ryan Van Doom's penalty. And if he manages to overtake him... Oh, well, I'm saying that. Cullum just overtook his teammate. Okay, he has 6 seconds to his name. Yeah, maybe Zoo has a little bit of damage to his wing. I don't know why, but maybe he has some damage. Because he normally has really good pace, and Spooner is also closing the gap behind him, so maybe there is something wrong with Zoo's car or his wing, maybe. Because he's out of Cullum's DRS now. That looks really weird. There must be something. Or maybe fuel, but with a safety car and a virtual safety car, there shouldn't be any fuel issues. But yeah, Spooner really close to Zoo now. Oh, had a big moment there at the end of the chicane. He's getting closer and closer, making use of the DRS to gain more and more on Professor Zoo. And if he's clever, he's just overtaking. Oh, what is that, Codemasters? What the fuck? Mate, I was just talking about him overtaking Zoo, maybe. And then Codemasters. Oh, Cullum! Cullum tried to be really cheeky to give Professor Zoo the DRS, but he couldn't make it work. But at least he's giving him a slipstream on the straight, so Spooner can't overtake Zoo. But let's see what Spooner is capable of doing here. Going around the outside, trying to make it. Oh, he just makes the corner. He's sticking to the inside, but backing off now. Really clean and fair racing between these two. Of course, Spooner's trying to give it his all to collect some good points for his Williams team. He has one more opportunity after the second DRS straight, after the chicane of death. But he has to be really close to Professor Zoo now. 30% of ERS left. Zoo is using it now because he knows Spooner's getting closer and closer. Let's see what happens now. Spooner cutting a little bit, but getting a bit of advantage. Oh, he's there. He is there. That is close. DRS at work. ERS 2. Round the outside. Zoo is holding it here. Oh, I think he has him. He has it. Spooner up to P5 with a really nice overtake around the outside of Professor Zoo. Oh, that was a good one. And I think Spooner has the chance to get on the podium here. Walterby wins this race comfortably. Sebastian P2. Ryan Van Doom is in P5. Spooner is in P3 on the podium. He makes it work. Professor Zoo is 43 thousandths behind Spooner. Ryan Van Doom P5. Cullum, because of penalties, P6. You're finishing in P7. Mumman P8. Durdan crossing the line in P9. And Harvey, probably the most unfortunate one on track right now, in P10. But he didn't DNF. He's still on the track and he's still getting a few points for his team Ferrari, for which he is reserving tonight here in the Einstein League. That's P10 for him. And again, we have a lot of DNFs, as we already had in Hungary, now here in Australia. Cullum getting the drive of the day, finishing P6 after starting at the back as he DNF'd in Hungary, but congratulations to our winner in Walterby, who led the whole race from start to finish. A dominant performance by the actual Einstein champion, who is maybe fighting his way back into the Drivers' Championship fight. This win definitely helps him, because Professor Zoo, I think, finished in P4 or 5, so he will gain a few points. There we have it. Walter B, your winner here tonight in Australia. Sebastian in P2, Spooner P3 after beautiful recovery. Professor Zoo finishing in P4, Ryan Van Doon P5, Callum P6, Yor in P7, Murman P8, Durdan P9, and Harvey, your last finisher with the fastest lap, in P10. Casto, Moshe, Wisbin, Scientist, Eskimo, Nick, and Rob all DNF from this race. And it's probably a proper heartbreak for Nick, Scientist, and Casto in regard to the Drivers' Championship. Sebastian is the best driver of the day tonight. So good job by him for his team Alpine. And that's that for Australia for the night here in the Einstein League. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for commenting in the comment section. It's really good to have some people who watch the race comment on the stream. It's really nice to have a little encounter with you. And I hope you all tune in again for next week when we have again 2 races here in the Einstein League. Until then, I wish you a very nice weekend. And of course, stay healthy and stay safe. Good night.